Welcome to this explainer. If you're joining us, you already know that Microsoft Dynamics 365 Business Central handles some incredibly intricate operations. But today, we're going to look at it through a very specific lens. I want you to step into the shoes of an expert forensic auditor with me. We're going to walk through a step-by-step guide to validate your manufacturing data, hunting down the hidden complexities and silent errors that can completely derail your financial accuracy. So, grab your auditor's clipboard because we've got a lot of ground to cover.
Okay, let's dive into this. What happens when a single link breaks in your manufacturing data? The stakes here are way higher than a simple typo. See, manufacturing connects operational and financial data, production orders, item ledger entries, consumption, output, the whole shebang. When everything works, it's a beautiful, reliable view of your production performance. But what happens when just one single link snaps? Well, it doesn't trigger massive alarms. Nope. Instead, it quietly distorts your inventory values. It inflates your work in progress, or WIP, and just silently weakens your financial accuracy.
Here is our auditor's checklist for today. We'll be looking at the manufacturing data illusion, the inventory posting setup foundation, hunting for ghost WIP, a case study on consumption versus output, tracing ledger links, and finally, closing the production loop. Let's get to work.
Section 1. The manufacturing data illusion. You know, the first thing any good auditor learns is that manufacturing issues are rarely caused by a single, catastrophic error. Actually, it's more like they accumulate completely silently over time. And this brilliantly illustrates what I mean. In practice, these illusions manifest as really common symptoms. You've got production orders that look completely finished, but technically they remain open in the system, or consumption that just doesn't align with actual output. Maybe routing steps are only partially recorded or cost adjustments are delayed. All these gaps create a massive disconnect between your operational reality out on the warehouse floor and your financial representation in the ledger.
Section 2. Foundation. Inventory posting setup. Before any production transaction can be trusted, the underlying architectural blueprint has got to be absolutely flawless.
A proper manufacturing audit always begins right here. We absolutely must validate that all required combinations of locations and posting groups are clearly defined. Why? Well, because missing setup here isn't just some tiny configuration annoyance. It is a systemic risk. Every single production check that follows depends entirely on this foundation being solid. If your posting groups are broken, your data is compromised from the very first scan.
But a strong audit goes way beyond just checking boxes for validation. It enforces better system configuration. As auditors, we also want to review routing setups, capacity definitions, and costing method alignment. These elements dictate exactly how production data flows through Business Central. By enforcing these best practices, we're ensuring costing accuracy and absolute reporting reliability right from the source.
Section 3. Hunting for ghost WIP. Now it's time to go looking for those silent distortions hiding in your work-in-progress data.
To do this, we deploy a strict 6-step auditor methodology. We look at unfinished output, imbalances between consumption and output, gaps in routing, open WIP aging, ledger link integrity, and pending cost adjustments. We use these exact 6 controls to systematically investigate the integrity of your entire production loop. Let's look closely at the first one.
Meet our first culprit, ghost WIP. So this happens when production orders have output that meets or even exceeds the planned quantity, but someone forgot to actually mark the order as finished in the system. It haunts your system by artificially inflating your work-in-progress balances, delaying those critical cost roll-ups, and completely distorting your inventory valuation. Finding and closing these ghost orders? That is step 1 for financial clarity.
Closely tied to ghost WIP is our fourth control, open production WIP aging. When production orders remain open well beyond a reasonable time frame, they become a major risk. Aging WIP masks true operational inefficiencies, and it severely delays your financial period-end closure. Monitoring this aging actively enforces discipline. It essentially forces the team to finish what they start.
Section 4. Case study, consumption versus output. Now, what's really interesting about this next concept is how it exposes the fundamental control of manufacturing, making sure consumption and output move together. As auditors, these are the 2 classic scenarios we see out in the field. On one side, we find output recorded without any corresponding consumption. It looks like you magically created a finished product out of thin air. No way, right? On the flip side, we see consumption significantly exceeding output, or a massive mountain of raw materials somehow yielded just a handful of finished goods. Both of these imbalances almost always point to posting errors or complete process breakdowns. They have got to be corrected immediately to maintain any sort of costing integrity.
And it's not just materials, it's also time and effort. We're also hunting for production routing completion gaps. Routing operations track the progress of production activities. When input quantities are recorded, but the output routing is missing, your capacity utilization numbers become completely unreliable. Lead times get distorted, and once again, WIP valuation breaks down. True operational and financial alignment requires complete routing records.
Section 5. Tracing links and pending costs. Let's move to and see how this builds as we follow the digital paper trail deep into the ledger to see the ultimate financial fallout of broken processes.
There is a high-stakes domino effect at play here. Every single production-related item ledger entry must link back to its originating production order. If that link is broken, it completely prevents cost traceability and disrupts your entire reconciliation process. Meanwhile, if production output cost adjustments are left pending, your inventory value becomes directionally incorrect, and cost variances accumulate silently. The data just drifts further and further from reality.
Section 6. Closing the production loop. So the crucial point is this: posting a transaction is not the same thing as completing a process. A really common misconception is that once you hit post, you are done. Well, in manufacturing, that couldn't be farther from the truth. The real objective is closing the production loop. Orders must be formally finished, consumption has to precisely match output, routing must be fully complete, and costs absolutely must be properly adjusted.
When you enforce this discipline and continuously audit your data, the business impact is massive. I'm talking vastly more accurate inventory valuations. Your period-end closes become cleaner and significantly faster. You gain bulletproof confidence in your production costing, and you detect operational breakdowns on the floor long before they ever hit the boardroom reports.
But listen, you don't have to do all this manually. Manufacturing control requires continuous validation across the entire life cycle. Solutions like BCAI Hub Go LiveGuard act as a systemic enforcer. They bring this continuous audit capability directly into Business Central, automatically detecting these gaps early, enforcing process discipline, and protecting your financial outcomes around the clock.
I want to leave you with this final thought. In manufacturing, accuracy is not just about what is recorded, it is about what is completed. You've seen exactly how broken links, ghost WIP, and mismatched consumption can silently sabotage your ledger. So I have to ask, if you were to run these 6 forensic audit controls on your Business Central environment today, would your production loop truly be closed, or are you making financial decisions based on an illusion? Take that auditor's clipboard, apply it to your own system, and find out. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and happy auditing.